Hey, Arlan, I see you posed for this one, right?
I am here.
No.
And as I said, Friday morning, we're driving to out. So I haven't, yeah. That's why I thought it was weird that he invited me, because I thought, I had my own private tour. I need to do with other people.
Are you guys? You guys ready? Guess not.
Yes, you are. To start.
Neva, come on in. Come on in.
We're ready. We're ready for the.
You're ready?
We're ready.
All right.
25-step tour.
Okay, you guys ready?
I'm very sketchy, but I know.
Yes.
He's my partner. He gets talk. I just want to thank everyone first for coming today.
Quiet on the set.
Amen. I just want to thank everyone for coming today. And I want to introduce you to Alvin. Alvin wants to tape, so if it's okay with you guys, he'll be filming. And if you don't want to be filmed, we could get masked outside. Don't say anything.
How much do we get?
Oh, you guys know my cousin Mimi?
I think.
You must have seen her in a few, think Chinatown films.
Yes.
She's a star.
No. She took the opera.
Yeah. And this is my partner Peter.
We've met many times.
And this is his daughter Peyton. Peyton's gonna go to Binghamton, right? Soon.
Oh.
In a month.
Next week.
Next week.
A couple of weeks.
Yes.
All right. So it's another generation, right? So everyone should know that this is not my show. Right? Everybody says, "Oh, let's see your show." It is not my show. This is about it's by us for us. It's about all these artists who have been in my life for 50 years, and my family, and all kind of ephemera from what I hold and hope and cherish in my life. It's a different way of looking at art. It's not about how much it's worth or who's famous and who's not famous. It's about relationships. And I started maybe 6 or 7 years ago when I blurted out, my art is more Asian American than it's ever been. I think I said that to Jack Chen. And the minute I said that, I said, wow, why did I say that? I don't even know what that means. And so since then, I've been trying to figure out what that means. Slowly, little pieces fit together. But it's said in a moment of epiphany. So at that very moment, it's very clear what that means. And then, as epiphany goes, they kind of fade away, and then you fall back into what you're comfortable with. And what I'm comfortable with is what I have learned about art, modern art in the Western world. I started learning about art since I was a kid. This is a letter from my aunt who supported me since I was a kid. Even in grade school, every Christmas she would always give me these little pamphlets. Monet, Manet, Picasso. So I've been infused with Western art for a long time. So to decolonize takes a long, long time. So we really didn't know how this was going to work, how to hang the show. But once we figured out that this was going to be one long sentence, and we hung it, and all of a sudden I realized that this room just, it lives. And it's about Asian American connectivity. It's an art that spans 6 generations. It begins with my grandfather's menu from his restaurant in Bangor, Maine, 1926. My grandma's irons. And the youngest person in this show is these little origami pieces. Those origami pieces I just cherish. And so the story is that me and Lillian were in Japan, about 2015. I was having a show with a ceramicist, and she had this little daughter. Her name was Suki. She was 9 years old, and we were putting up the show together, and she came up to me, and she gave me this little white shirt. So I was really touched, and I said, you know, okay, I owe you a piece of art. She didn't speak any English. And then about 2 weeks after that, serendipitously, we met at this place called Zenkoji Temple. So, oh, you know, you hug and all that. And she came up to me and gave me a Purple Heart. So ever since then, those pieces are really important, more important than the solo whip that I have. In fact, when I have two curators, Danielle Wu and Howie Chen. So they're Howie's 46, Danielle's 31. And when we got together, this show started over 2 years ago. And I just figured they knew everything I knew about Asian American stuff. But as it turns out, it's all different. Danielle, she views things very different than Howie, and Howie views things different than me. So it took a long time to sort of coalesce our ideas and to figure out how the show was going to work. So this show is really about connections and relationships. This photo, I never knew who did this for 50 years. And about, 3 years ago, Corky had a show with Victor on Eldridge Street. Was that 3 years ago or 4 or 5 years?
3 years.
3 years ago. And lo and behold, this was in Victor's wall. I couldn't believe it. So this is Victor's photo. And he said, yo, this is Carl. And he gave me the photo, the one that he had at the show, for me to give to Carl. But I've had this for 50 years. And oh my God. This is one of the most important photos of the Asian American movement. In this photo, it's Carl Matsuda. This is Chris Ijima, and you all know Chris and Nobuko. This is Harold Louis.
Harold Louis, yeah.
AKA Cheesy.
Cheesy.
Cheesy. So, you know, I try to explain to people that, you know, a lot of us who came down to Chinatown during Yellow Pearl and Basement, a lot of us third generation, we don't even speak Chinese, right? And so Harold was the guy who speaks Chinese. He was the guy who is the conduit between us, the third generations of Chinatown. So he plays a very important role. Terry Dofu is in this film.
Terry.
You all remember Terry Dofu? Okay, what happened to him? Anyone know? Me neither.
He left town.
He left town, but we don't know what happened. Who else is Don Yi? You know Don Yi? And this is Yuri Kochiyama. And this is, at that time, Aiko Abe. So her daughter is here, Lisa, who was in Yellow Pearl. So Aiko divorced, remarried, and she became Aiko Herzig Yoshinaga. And she and her husband were the ones that found the document that proved that the internment camp was based on racism. And in turn, that was the basis of the lawsuit. So she is a very important figure.
So that's Victor's fault?
This is Victor's fault.
50 years. He couldn't tell you sooner?
He didn't know himself.
He didn't know himself, huh?
I knew.
Oh!
You kept his
It's like Corky. Corky never took credit.
No, you're cool like Corky.
Hey, you gotta learn from Big Bro, right?
So how some of this is all connected from generation to generation is this is Yuri Kochiyama here. And if you all look on this photo here, the silk screen. This silk screen is by Zulu Williams. Zulu is Yuri's grandson. And this is a piece by Tamiya Arai. And this one is next to Zulu because Zulu married Tamiya's daughter. And Tamia's granddaughter, Zulu's daughter, is Kai Williams, and she's the one that has taken on the baton of Yuri Kochiyama, great writer. She's really young, like 21. So this is sort of how everything is connected here. I'll take you back here. These photos. This is the most influential photo in my life, which is by Bob Chang. So when people ask you, well, who's your favorite painter, or who's your favorite photographer, because of the way you're educated, you say, oh, Picasso's my favorite painter. Richard Avedon is my favorite photographer, but that is not true. Bob Chang is my favorite photographer. Corky's my favorite photographer. So that's the way that I think now. These two photos are from 54 Elizabeth, the original basement. This is me. This is Lillian. This is Fei Chu, Lydia, and Takashi. And we traveled to, this is Henry Chu. Who knows Henry?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
This photo is the most exuberant photo of Fei Chang that's ever been taken. Because Fei Chang's always pissed. and all know that Fei was the heart and soul of basement from beginning to end. Very impressive. Now this is an Alan Okada poster. So Alan, you want to say something about this poster?
It's not very good.
And do you remember what you made it for?
It was one of the first concerts of Chris and Charlie and Joanne.
At Columbia, right?
I don't remember.
Yes, Earl Hall was Columbia.
Earl Hall, right? Yeah. So this is a historical poster, even though he doesn't like it. So after, the reason why this show is in Pearl River is because Pearl River is the only place that I'm going to show. Pearl River, through all its years, has always shared their spotlight with Chinatown. And when they built the gallery, right, at their last place, they made an announcement that this is a gallery for the community, and we can all show it. I don't know, everyone knows the history of Pearl River?
Clammy bookstore.
Yeah, yeah. So we were at 54 Elizabeth at some meeting, and somebody said, hey man, there's a store that's going to open up, it's going to carry all Chinese goods. And at that time, nothing from China could get in. And that store was Pearl River, and they opened up at 22 Catherine. A year after that, basement moved over to 22 Catherine, so it was basement on the 3rd floor, the health clinic on the 2nd, and Pearl River anchored the storefront. So that's how long they've been here.
What year was that?
1971. And probably if you look outside, Mr. and Mrs. Chen is still working. Every day they're here. It's incredible. So yeah, I'm very glad to show here. I think Chinatown said, Yin Kong said she was so jealous that I picked this place over their place. So next year we're going to show at Yin's place.
Fear is good.
Yeah. What else? Oh, this is the family section over here. So this is the other picture of Lillian. This is a picture, I drew her and she drew me. And this is our thank you card for our wedding. Now this is a piece by Saul LeWitt, and it's a happy birthday postcard to my son Ray, who was born. So Danielle, the younger curator, saw all my LeWitts at Squid Frames, and she said, "You gotta show the LeWitts. You gotta show them." I said, "No, this is not about the wit is not about all those other pieces I have. It's about Asian American arts. And so she kept insisting. Okay, this is the one we keep. Because it's Saul talking to my son. This is a piece by Ray when he was 5. This is a glass piece by Joey. And this photo is by Henry Lau. Tien. I show this because me, Joey, and Mr. Chen. We had a show at the Bowery Poetry Club, and so they picked this photo and they made that postcard. Also, this is sort of like the Corky League section here. This is Corky's photo. This is Corky's photo. Danielle picked this photo for the cover of the book. The whole catalog is Danielle's idea, and she's the one that pushed it through. I really didn't want to do it, didn't want to spend the time or the money, and she said, no, man, we can get money. So she was the one that got the money, got the $15,000 to do it. And it turns out she is totally right. It's a really good catalog. She has a great essay in it. And then me and Howie have this pretty nice interview. And she picked this photo because she said this epitomized just between us. Now, I got this photo in, Bob Lee said 2007. That year, Corky had all his equipment stolen. Remember that? Right? And so he had this, he tried to raise money to get his equipment back. He had to show at the art center, Lee's place. So I purchased this there. So everyone who sees this photo always says, hey man, how did Corky get into the woman's bathroom? Right? And no one that I ever spoke to know these people. And 2 weeks before this show opened, a woman called up Pearl River and said that you have the date wrong on this photo. And I know this woman. So Joanne went crazy. So she said, oh, Ken, give me the info. We have to invite them to the show. And all 3 of them came at the opening. And then Lillian could take it from here.
So I knew they were coming. It was really crowded during the opening. But I went over to this section and I saw these women like looking at the photo. And then one of them says to me, Lillian? And I'm going, and then she goes, it's me, Christine. She's my doctor's receptionist. I just was like, totally out of context. So she is this woman here. So she told me the story. She said that they were in the youth program at the Methodist Church, on Maxon Street, and the director, Mary Shinn, is a good friend of Corky's. And so Corky wanted to set up a shop and asked her if he had any teenage girls interested. And so they set up the shop in their party dresses, and it's in the church bathroom. And she's never seen the picture.
Yeah, no, they haven't seen any of those photos before.
And she doesn't smoke.
So she says.
That's what she said. But she was very happy to see it.
So they're all coming back on the 25th for more photos and a little interview. This one is also by Corky. This is you all know who this is, right? It's George Takei, right? So Lillian knows him from a long time, and he's also a big supporter of Audef. And this is the year that Audef gave him their Achievement Award, or Justice in Action. And Corky took this. Corky had this funny side too, right? He would take pictures and give it to us. This is George giving his award to my son Joey. And so George would call up the house once in a while, right? Lillian. He would say, hello, this is George. Is Lillian there? And the kids would say, hey Ma, it's Sulu. That's a pretty nice photo. What else? Anything? You guys got any questions or things that you wanted to talk about?
Can we talk about
Leland? Sure. This is Leland Wong, probably the best silk screener that I know. He's from San Francisco, and he did the Neomachi Street Fair for maybe 30 years. I have about 12 of his posters. Bar none, the best silkscreener ever. Unfortunately, he's not doing so well. He just sold his silkscreen equipment. So we're trying to support him and maybe try to get a show with him in San Francisco.
Can you tell us about Jessica?
Jessica. This is Jessica Hagedorn. This is a silkscreen by John Woo. This was a poetry session they had at 199 Lafayette. This is what, I can't remember what this, 1977? 72s? Yeah. I think it might have been later.
No, not 72, because we didn't go there till 75.
1979.
Whoa.
So John Woo had a few of these photos, posters of the poets. When Jessica was here, she loved this. So she was talking about how this show was important because this show is about us and it speaks to us. It doesn't speak to the New York Times. It doesn't speak to art form. It speaks to us. And I told Jessica that, hi. Everyone, that's Joanne. Not only is she a client, but she's the president of the corporation.
Still have hair.
So I told Jessica, you're the one who really started this. Her first book, Dog Eaters, was filled with Tagalog all over the book. And so if you don't know Tagalog, you have to look up all the meanings. But that book was for Filipinos. And it was for them. It was their book. It was their language. And everyone else has to catch up. And so this is the same thing with this show. Everyone can catch up if they want, but this is just for us. And that's Jessica. Anything you want to talk about?
Yes.
Mimi?
Who's that naked man there?
Naked
Is
man.
that you? I don't remember you looking like that.
It used to be. So this is kind of chronological, but not quite. So this area is kind of like a Godzilla area.
Why is that picture there?
So that picture, that print is by my hero, Ken Chiu. So this is, he made the first Ken doll, it's Ken Chiu, so that's a Ken doll.
No, really?
Yeah.
Really?
That's it. Well, it's actually called the Asian Pacific doll, but it's in reference to the Ken doll.
It looks like it, yes.
It's Simi Liu?
No.
It's Ken Chiu.
You can vouch for them, right? Not him.
So this section is Godzilla. If you don't know, Godzilla is, the three founders of Godzilla is Ken Chiu, Bing Lee, and Margot Machida. Bing has his book right here. And George, this is for you. You see the accordion thing?
Mm-hmm.
That's by Ik Jung Kang. And so Ik Jung, Bing, me, Byron, and Ken, and a bunch of Hong Kong artists, we would go out for lunch every week. And we would pick the cheapest Chinatown place. The cheapest. So that is a collection of all the cheapest restaurants in Chinatown.
Oh.
And then he has a description on the back.
Oh.
Yep.
Were onions in there?
Yeah, I think it is. See, he has a part 1 and a part 2. Like, this is part 1. And so each restaurant had a sticker on it with his sticker of approval of cheapness.
Not goodness, cheapness.
So that's actually how Godzilla started with the lunch club. We just go to lunch and just bullshit and talk about all kinds of things. And word got out, and some of the women got really upset. Margot, Tamia, some of them really got upset, and they wanted to be in the lunch club. So they started to come, and that's sort of how Godzilla came about.
So was Basement and Yellow Crow first or Godzilla?
Basement is, well, we started Yellow Crow in 1971 to 72. Godzilla is 20 years later, 1990, 92. So it's been a long road. You guys want to talk about these political posters?
Sure.
So, you know, after this with Neva, right? Neva don't know this history, right? So after Yellow Crow, Basement kind of expanded. They went to 22 Catherine and then 199, and their programs became much larger. Victor can talk about that.
I'm filming.
Henry can talk about that. Wayne can talk about it.
Wayne's a good speaker.
He is.
Together.
Yes, the 22 Catherine Street.
Here we go.
Okay, I'll start off by saying that photo of all those characters from Basement Workshop that has Michio Kaku, we all know who he is. For those of you who don't know who he is, where have you been? And he is the face of Asian American physics or something these days, because whenever they need an expert, he's called on to explain things. All right, so he was there. To me, was in that photo. So's Arlen. So's Henry. So am I. That was taken in 22 Catherine Street. All right. And I remember the Earl Hall concert, raise money. Yeah, I actually did the ticket for it. If you remember the hit ticket, I was, you know, volunteering to do the small things while all the big guys did the big things. Yeah. So, yes, I remember all that, and that picture was taken at 22 Catherine. We all know many people in that photo, so just want to throw that out.
So I think during this time with basement expansion, some of us got involved with the communist groups in Chinatown. And there was three main groups in Chinatown, which was IWK, Iwakun, WVO, and RCP. If you see in the case, there's a button, which is the original IWK button. And Revolutionary Communist Party. That's RCP, right?
Oh, yeah. But you said RC.
RCP. So various people on different groups in Chinatown, and there was like this rivalry started to happen where each group was putting out what they called the correct line, line towards the revolution. So at a certain point, it was just idiotic. It's just stupid stuff. But Chris enlisted me, Carl, and Tamia into the WVO culture study group. Essentially, they just wanted us to do the posters. Right? Victor laughs. So these are some of the posters that we did. I did this one for African Liberation Day. Tamia did this. And this is sort of like how we kind of worked. So I did this drawing for the button, and then Tamia did the finished button. This one is a street fair for Chinatown. And this piece here is for you art nerds. I just put it up here just to show you how I used to work. Where essentially it's the same figures, I just changed the faces for different posters. You know, when you're doing these posters every other week, you know, you have to recycle things and change things up. So that's sort of like a shortcut. But I quit at a certain point, man. I said, you know, you guys are really bullshit. You know, you guys are you guys tell the people what to do. You don't serve the people. And then there's this whole thing with AFI, which I won't get into.
Why not?
Because it's too long.
It's a long march, bro.
It's the long march. Yeah. So anyway, I got out and sort of got back in the basement. We did this in basement. This, oh, you know Colin Lee? Who played ball with Colin?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuesday night.
Yeah, Colin's from San Francisco. So this is his piece for, we did this portfolio at Basement with John Woo. This is a negative, a photo of, from his dad's collection. So Colin's father was named Kem Lee, and he was the San Francisco photographer. You don't know that. Every family in San Francisco, Chinese family, had their photos taken by Kem. Mr. Lee. So he has pedigree. Also, you don't know that his mother was Stella Wong, who was a very revolutionary poet in Berkeley. Yeah, he comes from good stock. Yeah. Then there's Leland. And then we sort of enter where 20 years later we formed Godzilla. And Wayne, this is Martin Wong. You all know Martin?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yeah, anybody want to say something about Martin?
He was a nice guy.
Yeah, actually,
Martin was a great painter also.
yeah, you know, Martin was a really nice guy, a very paranoid guy. He's very famous now. He's being heralded as, you know, many things. When I was at Stanford for the symposium back in October, Margot Machida had finished the catalog raisonné, and it was presented at that symposium. So what I didn't know until that presentation was that Martin's mother, who lives in San Francisco, collected everything of his. So she has his entire life at home. But then the San Francisco person came here and said that she knew the mother and said that she collected everything. Her whole house was like this museum of everything Chinatown. So anyway, Martin was an unusual guy, a singular character. So this is in a calendar from the Lower East Side print shop, and it has other Asian Americans in this year. Also has William Jung, Mary Ting, and a good friend of mine, Juan Sanchez. Who's there? Alan. Come on, Alan.
Hey, it's spam.
Come on.
Just
pick it up. So wait, you want to know about this one?
Yes.
Yes. This is Tony Wong.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Wong, a singular character from Hong Kong, went to school in Berkeley. And he came to New York with a bunch of other guys, including Colin, Helen O.G., Stephanie Marr. So this is sort of his style. So this one, what he gave to me, and it's the Monkey King. It's the Monkey King putting out the flame that saved the world. Tony died, Jesus, quite a few years. I went to China with Tony. Tony tried to speak Mandarin during the trip. We were lost, and you know how you go into these
Hutong.
right, and then you don't know where you are. And so Tony's trying to explain to people, where are we? How do we get out? Tony has a certain way of talking. He said, and once he didn't understand, he said, forget about it. Get out of here. So Tony loved to eat. And when he came out of an operation, his wife said, the first thing Tony said was, the smell of fried chicken. That's what he was thinking. So he was a great boss. Good friend. And of course, that's Ken Chiu. Ken Chiu is my hero. Ken Chiu hasn't done art for maybe over 15 years. And he's come to terms with white America, white arts, and he doesn't want anything to do with art anymore.
Wait, did you say that's the Asian Ken doll? Like
Well,
Barbie and Ken?
Yeah, that's his version.
His version.
Because when he made that, there was no Asian Ken doll.
Okay, so they modeled the real Ken. Do they have an Asian Ken? I don't know. I know they have an Asian
In the movie
Barbie.
they do.
Yeah. No.
But I have lunch with Ken a few times a year. He's still kind of into art. Keeps his hand in it. Let's see, what if this one? You all know who this one is? This is Leah Chang's photo. So when Lisa Gold was here from A4, she said, oh, I have one of these. So yeah, it's recognized. So I told Lisa that, I have a big one of this photo. And she said, oh, you do? And so I said, yeah, but we couldn't fit it into the show because it was too big. So then I said, let's use the small.
I was wondering why it was so small.
Yeah, but this is gorgeous. Didn't seem fair. This is Charles Yun. He is probably one of my favorite painters of all time. And he's doing very well now. And this whole wall here is basically the 21st century kids. I don't know if you guys know Kazuko Miyamoto. She's, her dementia is pretty bad. She's an important figure in the art world. Cam Matt, you all know Cam Matt.
Yeah.
He did all the
Stamps.
the stamps. So when we needed a designer for the book, I called Cam. And Cam said, oh, I have a person for you, Gabrielle Chang. So she's the one that did the book cover. But Gabrielle was thanking Cam for introducing her to this project. She was very grateful. And I think it was at the book talk that I pointed out to Gabrielle that, who you really have to thank is Lillian.
Thank you, Lillian.
Thank you. Because in 1976, she was working for the new school committee, for the new junior high school committee, and she had an idea that, hey, it might be a good idea to get the kids to do a mural and to promote the new school. So I made the pitch to City Arts. At that time, Alan worked there, Tamia worked there, and we got the project. And the next day, I had this incredible bunch of kids come in. And then this is one kid, Cam Mack, and I noticed right away this guy could draw. So anyone who can draw in the mural project, man, hey, you come here and you're gonna help us do all kind of things. Little did we know that he would grow up to be this really great artist. And so I told Gabrielle, well, yes, Cam brought you to the project, but Lillian brought Cam to us. Thanks, Lillian. Anything else, you guys?
How
have
the
any?
dark one behind you?
This one? Oh, this is Tomomi Ono. She, great lithographer. She works for Squid Frames 1 day a week. So for all you kind of frame nerds and things like that, this glass is called museum glass. This is museum glass. All the dark ones are museum glass, and it's an anti-reflective, UV protected. So if this was regular glass, you wouldn't be able to see this print. You get all you see is reflections. So that's a little tidbit for you glass people, frame people.
Can you talk about Jean?
Jean? Jean, this is Jean Rim. I traded with her a long time ago. And she's also my masseuse. So I met her at one of the open studios, and she was a friend of another friend of mine. And we met, and she said, "Oh, I'm a masseuse." And then she grabbed my hand.
And massage it.
And then she massaged it.
See?
And I said, "Whoa, this girl's good."
Yeah, you learned something. I felt it.
I bet it hurt, didn't it?
So Peter knows, because for years now we trade massages for frames.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's a fairly even trade, I
It's
think.
fairly even.
How long was the massage for that one?
You don't want to know.
Wing, I'll talk to you later.
You can't afford it.
You got art though, right? Should we trade you art for a massage?
Okay.
Yeah.
My art expensive, very expensive.
You can negotiate.
She's pretty expensive too, man.
Oh, so this, there's a couple things here that's really nice. These are Lillian's button collection. This original button from Yellow Pearl, Alex Chin designed it. And this little button here is Corky Lee's button from the first health clinic. Wow. And of course, this is IWK button. So, we had to get permission from every artist that we put into the catalog. And everyone said, "Oh yeah, no problem." So I had to ask Virgo, right, to get permission. He's the only guy that I know from the IWK. So Virgo is the only guy from the Commerce School who said, "I'll have a contract for you to sign."
That sounds like Virgo.
Right? But I had a great time with Virgo. This is Yellow Pearl. This one here, Wing has the illustration for it underneath. But Danielle wanted to show the music instead of the illustration. So you have to blame Danielle for that.
No, the music is much better.
But this is Yellow Pearl 1971, and underneath is the Godzilla homage to Yellow Pearl. And these are some of the pieces from the Godzilla book, and this is from Yellow Pearl. Everybody know Larry Hama, right? So this is one of Larry's illustrations.
So what does this mean?
Which one?
The Chinese?
Oh, Tongzi. So this is another Ken Chu piece. So Joanne wanted to do all these things in Chelsea, right? And one of them was the photographs for the Chelsea, what's the name of the organization?
The Meatpacking District?
Meatpacking District, yes.
Business Improvement District.
Yeah, so we had to ask permission for all the photographers if it was okay for them to use, print the photos and put them on the tables outside. They turned out to be really beautiful.
Oh my God, it was so cool.
It was really cool.
So
and
cool.
So there were stories of different, all of the people, from that era and their stories. And the pictures behind the stories too. Yeah. So when I first went, I was so excited because they sent us a picture. So I ran out there, and somebody was reading Corky's story to their, very hip friends and while they were eating lunch. I was like, yes, this is education. This is good.
Yeah. So it was a real surprise. Right. So we asked, Danielle asked Ken if we could use this for one of the tables, and Ken said no. And so the reason why he said no was that Hongzi means comrade. But in Hong Kong, it doubles as gay. So it indicates a gay person. So Ken has many contacts in Hong Kong who are gay, and he did not want this out in the public. He knows that China has surveillance everywhere, and he was wary that they would somehow connect this with his friends in Hong Kong. But that's why this was in there. Any other questions? You guys want to
Talk about
Oh, Rochelle. So this is Ed Chang from Chinatown. He's one of the new photographers. He's a pretty good photographer, and I think he went to school with you, right?
I was in class of 93.
So he's in good company. And you also went to school with CN, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very industrious class.
Yeah.
Also Grace Mann, Congresswoman.
Really?
Same class. And her husband.
Wow. So yeah, it's just a photographer, but a really good one. This photo is Rochelle Kwan from Chinatown. This is on Moscow Street, and I love this photo because this group has taken back the fan. Right? The fan is, such a stereotype thing, but they've taken and made the fan their own. It's a really lovely thing to see them waving fans. But this photo is it's all the things that I love in a photograph. It's mysterious. It has nice black and whites, and the most incredible thing is that it has mystery. So you really don't know that's Rochelle, but you wonder, what is she doing? She's got a fan and she's got a can of beer, and walking down Moscow. And then in the background you can see Ring on Wool.
That's soon to be Corky Leeway.
Yes, yes. And when is that going to happen?
September, October.
Oh, wow. That'd be great. So, anything else?
So tiny.
Oh. So this is the last piece. This is Lynn Yamamoto. She's from Godzilla. So here's an interesting story. So during Godzilla, Eugenie Tsai, we had protested the Whitney biennial, and what we got out of that was Eugenie was hired by the Whitney to be curator. Byron got into the next biennial. But all during that time, Asian American artists were always vying against each other because if you wanted to be included, essentially the museum, the gallery was looking for one Asian American woman to represent. So all along in Godzilla, there's always, everybody wants to support each other, but there's always this tension, who's going to be the anointed one. And it turned out to be Lynn. Lynn got a couple of big shows. But Lynn is from Hawaii, and Lynn is very mellow, and she saw what was happening, so she retreated, and she teaches at Smith College. This is actually a recreation of a project she did that I had seen many years ago, and I loved it. And this is a installation in Hawaii. It's a house for listening to rain. So it's built on a field, and you just sit in there and you just contemplate the rain. And she's made a couple of installations which I relate to, which are sort of solo sculptures where you sit and listen. So she did this drawing for me, and the big space is the freedom to think, the freedom to be abstract, which is one of the issues now with Asian American art. If you do abstract art, is it still Asian American? Or does Asian American art have to be a narrative, and it has to be figurative? So I've been talking to that with a lot with Danielle.
So that's got to be figurative.
Which piece?
Right there.
Oh, this is Alex Pate, another young guy, Korean, and he established a artist-run gallery called Tiger Strikes Asteroid. And it's nationwide, there's a few different cities. So yeah, all these guys are young guys. Next to this is Naomi Reese, she's Hapa. This is Danielle's piece. This is this is an old guy, Russell Leong. He's an old writer from LA. Oh, just like us.
Keep going. Yeah,
Keep going.
around the whole room.
This is Helen Oji. Helen Oji is part of the group that came from University of California with Tony and Colin and Steph. We're all still good friends. Even though during the, you all know that we had a problem with Mocha, right? And Godzilla was not united, and Godzilla is not it's a group of many different artists with all different opinions. So we weren't all united with that, and Helen was in a group that wanted to stay with Mocha and to talk things out. So they were sort of like in the middle. My group said, hey man, we're out of here. But you know, we're all good friends. And we bond through our relationship of art and the years that we have spent together. All these people here, we've fought many issues, and we've fought against each other. But we're all still here. This is Sion. Sion is a lawyer, but she wants to be a painter. So she's been painting now for maybe 5 or 6 years. She's very much involved with staff workers, and the other 2 groups that were here the other day, which were Youth Against Displacement, Art Against Displacement. She's very political, and yet her day job is doing the lawyer bit. So she wants to go part-time, or not at all. Right, George?
Hey, who pays the bills?
Exactly. It buys her paints, you know, right? So she's a pretty good artist. Jean, Kazuko Miyamoto, Tomomi, Zulu, Skalman. Skalman Hasanan is a Thai artist. This is actually a sample piece for public installation that she was doing.
Did you go through Danielle's pieces over there?
Danielle's, yes. Danielle has an explanation. Which is?
It's that piece there.
Yeah, the orange is the Mandarin orange. Yeah, she's actually a pretty good painter. Anything else?
What's $10 cut?
$10 cut. So it's a Chinatown haircut, $10 for haircut.
I thought it was $7.
There's a place that does it for 7.
So yeah,
It's
when
one
the
on
kids,
Garrett Street.
Okay.
kids were young, just give them $10 and go get a haircut.
Sit down.
Skalman, yes. Any other questions? Would anyone? Yeah.
Can we gather for your group shot?
Sure.
Was there anything that ultimately didn't make the show that maybe you would have wanted to include?
Interesting question, because when the curators came and saw all my work, they were curators and they started to edit right away, right? And edit under different type of criteria. That's what I meant by it took a long time to figure out between us what we were meaning by Asian American art and what the show was about. So I have, this is probably maybe 60% of my collection of Asian American art. So there's many more pieces. One piece that Danielle did not want to have in here was the I draw Lillian and Lillian draws me. And that was out.
I love that one.
That was out.
Why?
But I brought it for the installation. Oh, so it got to the point where both of them said, okay, Arlan, which are the 10 that we cannot touch?
Ooh.
So then that's how it went through the curatorial process. But yeah, I have many more, and I have larger pieces. One of the problems with these pieces are too large. So we just needed maybe one more wall.
I'll get crack on it.
Make a bigger show.
A bigger show?
Yeah.
Yeah, people were asking, well, is it going to travel? Is it going to go anywhere else? I said, no, this is it. It's not going to go anywhere else. Is there a part 2? I don't think so. This is it. I got to go fishing after this, man. My whole fishing season was
Hey, come on,
down
you
the
were part of
tubes.
this vineyard, man.
But that was different.
Okay, which wall is your favorite?